Kirsten, the Problem Solving Teacher and Teachers Pay Teachers author. If you like my videos, please remember to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell down below, and leave a comment. It helps other teachers like you find me on YouTube. All right, today we're going to talk about Q3 books. So, as you may have heard from my previous video, Q3 got away from me in a big way. Like, it was a rough quarter. I didn't accomplish nearly as much as I wanted to, including reading the amount that I wanted to. But I did get a bit of reading done, like a little bit, so I still wanted to share those books with you. This list is much shorter than usual, so this can be a short video for you, but I thought these books were well worth sharing. All right, the first book that I read was The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. This book was inspiring. It talks about how all the little things we do, all the decisions that we make, compound to make big changes, big differences, progress, and success, or failure. He dove into many real-life examples that are relatable, and these examples demonstrated the theory with positive and negative outcomes, depending on the people's behavior and choices. So it talks about, how big changes, cultural changes, can be made from small compounded effects, and how just doing things in our own lives can compound and make a huge difference. The easiest thing to think of is our weight and health, because those are a lot of little decisions that we think of and make every day about what we're going to eat. And year 1 to year 2, you can either have lost weight, become healthier, gain more muscle, or kind of needed to buy a few sizes bigger. So that's the easiest example to think of, but when he goes through this book, I think he uses that once, and everything else is about much bigger ideas, and it's well worth reading. The second book I read was Girl Boss by Sophia, I'm gonna mess up her last name, Amoros. So there is a Netflix series about this girl boss. So I've been reading some business biographies this past year, and this was one of them. I picked up this book because it was a free audiobook from my library, and when I saw the title, I was like, oh, I think I watched the first episode of that on Netflix. So Sophia's business started out as reselling vintage old clothes on eBay, and she would go to thrift stores, find the clothes, take really great photographs, really great thumbnails, write really awesome descriptions, and she would sell them on eBay. And because she was so meticulous in all of these little things that she did, her business really, really grew. She got a good following. People were looking for her stuff. And if something sold well, she would go to more stores and look for the same thing. And if something didn't sell, then she would just kind of not worry about it and not get more of it, right? Logical stuff. So she was able to become extremely successful. She has huge warehouses. She's one of the biggest businesswomen in the world today. The most interesting part of her story is her backstory. Is she hitchhiked, and she was homeless for a while. She had a health condition, so she got a real job for a little while just to qualify for the medical insurance so that she could take care of it, and then she quit that job. So a lot of her backstory is really interesting to see who she started out as and what she made of her life, all through hard work. So it was inspiring. The next book I read was Upstream by Dan Heath. I love having the way I think about life challenged, and that's what this book did so wonderfully. We often react to a problem. We see a problem and we try to fix it. We see something happen and we try to fix it, but that's not going to stop the same problem from happening again. So upstream thinking, it finds the roots of the problem and looks for a way to eliminate them so the problem will not occur again. We do not always, we don't always work to prevent problems, but we do when it comes to our teeth. That was one of the examples they gave. They're like, we do so much preventative tooth care with our toothbrushing and flossing and mouthwash and 6-month visits and like all of these things, where else do we do so much to prevent a problem from happening? And it's true. Like, a lot of people don't. And, but it's amazing, like, what we can do. However, we don't always think about this in our daily lives. We don't always think, hey, I need to get to the root of that problem. What problem are you facing again and again? What would eliminate that problem so it's not a constant battle? I feel like as teachers, sometimes we do this because our classrooms are so difficult that we don't have a choice but to try to figure out how to eliminate the problem. But a lot of times in our daily lives, we don't. And what if we could? What if we could start to think that way? Rather than react, be proactive. So I didn't realize when I read this book how new car seats are. Toddlers used to bounce around in cars, and newborns were simply held by mom on the way home. It seems crazy now because doctors and other experts work hard to ensure kids are safe in car seats. I remember we had to bring our car seat in when my son was born, and the nurse was like, I have to make sure that he's tight enough because this is your first time doing it. It took years for parents to accept car seats. I can't imagine not having them for my child. Upstream thinking changed car safety for kids. Somebody realized that there was a huge problem and went to the root of the problem. Toddlers bouncing around in cars, parents holding their kids in cars, and kids dying, and they came up with a way to prevent it. So Upstream, great book. All right, I only read one other book this quarter. How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. Okay, by Adele Faber and Elaine Maslish. Again, I'm sorry I butchered names. You can check the show notes for the names. So teachers, parents, grandparents, anybody who works with kids should read this book. I actually started reading it a second time as soon as I was done with it. Getting kids to listen is hard, like capital H, capital A, capital R, capital D, hard, like super hard. This book talks about ways we can talk that will make kids, that like we do talk, that make kids shut down, and how we can change the conversation so they will open up. I don't care how great you are with kids. I don't care how wonderful you are with your students. There is something you can learn from this book. I've been working with kids since I was a kid, and after all of those years, and like, you know, I still learned things from this book. It challenged me to try to change my habits and talk differently to my child, to my students, to my gymnasts, and I think it will do the same for anybody who works with kids. I thought I was doing pretty well, but I found lots of places where I could make impactful changes that could really help our family. But honestly, it's super hard to do this. I feel like I need to read this book over and over again forever to help me like really get it in my brain and change those bad habits that I have. We can always do better and learn more about how to talk to kids. It's a complex topic, and if it can reduce everybody's stress and anxiety and make life easier, it's well worth it. So if you read this book, try to pick out like 1 or 2 things that you can like do, that you can like grab onto and start doing, and work on those. And then in 6 months, read the book again and try to find 2 more things to work on, because it is a lot. Like, it's a lot when you read it. All right, hopefully you guys will read all of these books, because really they were all amazing. There were no books that I was like, this is super boring, why am I reading this? Well, I guess I might as well finish it. No, they were all excellent. So pick them up, read them, find the audiobook, listen to it on double speed, that way it's faster. But also if you have some great book recommendations, I would love to hear them. I need some new book recommendations. All right, have an awesome day.